Okay. So till now, what all did we cover? I know, like from the theoretical side, we covered most of the fundamentals of BIM. We understood what is, the BIM process, information management. We went through like BIM level 2 standards, ISO 19650 standards, and we understood some of the bits of the software side. Like we have plenty of design authoring tools, collaborative tools like Clash Coordination tool, Navisworks, Revisto, and we have also tools being used in construction stage for planning, like doing this construction sequencing. So like the major part of the BIM process, obviously it starts from the BIM technicians who work on the 3D models, yeah, which is your Revit software. Yeah, Revit is only the platform which is just supporting the BIM process, what we implement on the projects. So this Revit tool, we usually call it as a design authoring tool. Yeah, because we use Revit, on a full-fledged basis in design stages from Reba stage 2 to Reba stage 4. The Reba stages, what I am referring here, may not be the same in back in India because they use kind of a different stages like conceptual stage, schematic design, and technical design, or maybe detailed design. Yeah, so the words may refer because in UK I'm just referring you because they use quite a lot on the Reba stages. Okay. um, so the Revit is being used as a collaborative tool, to work on the design and also like work collaboratively with other disciplines who are working on the model. Yeah, I think most of you already know about the Revit software. Yeah. I don't know like about the competency of the Revit usage from each one of you. Um, Pujit, maybe we can start with yourself. Like, what is your understanding of like Revit? Like, are you a basic user, or maybe like you started a back 1 year back, or how is that?
Just basics, bro.
I mean, you just started and you didn't knew the
Just
software
started, yeah.
before, yeah? Okay.
Like,
Sunita,
I
what?
have idea. Like, I
Hmm.
did little Stat Pro and 20 store structure design, but
Hmm.
I forgot them, and I'm trying to get a
Okay.
grip on that.
Okay. Sunita, is it first time you are using Revit or used it before?
Yeah, I used it before when I was in bachelor's.
Okay, you have an understanding of Revit then.
Yeah, but in a architectural wise.
No, that's fine. Whichever used should not matter because all the disciplines, you see, the tools are same, only the elements are different. Just understand this. Mayank, I think you already know the Revit software like the basic user. So you are just moving from basic user to intermediate now, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Arjun, yours?
I have no idea about the remote. I never use it.
Okay. Okay. Kushal?
Mm.
Yeah, I have used it like I know basic. Most
Mm-hmm.
probably I have used worked on architecture, Revit architecture.
Okay. Tarun?
Yeah, I have 1.5 year experience in Revit.
Okay. Nice. Karthik?
Yes, so I know Revit like basic and all, and I started doing this Udemy course,
Mm-hmm.
so I know basic from and like, yeah, basic you can say, yes.
Okay, okay. Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, just asking you guys because I just want to know because to what extent I can go in depth, like in terms of training. But the most of the things what I'll be covering from today, yeah, will be part of the BIM coordinator responsibilities because the BIM modeling part, yeah, you guys will be covering through those videos. But from the management wise, BIM coordinator or BIM manager does lot of things within Revit. Okay, so most of the students who come to the industries for applying jobs, they are aware of the 3D modeling skills, but they don't know how to manage the overall Revit software because I as a BIM manager I quite a lot use Revit. From the management side I don't do even 3D modeling and other stuff. Yeah, That's up to the discipline lead technicians or BIM technicians who work on the models. Okay, I just support them if they have any issues, like within Revit, if they need any assistance with some, like not knowing any tool, and if they can use these things, from the management point of view, what all things I do, I'll just go through like in the Revit software, and also once I cover those topics, I will also be working on one sample project just to showcase you guys, how the design production works on a live project. Yeah, I'll be using some existing drawings just for the reference, showing you like how exactly the modeling can be, make can be made easier, for you guys to understand. So if you guys are aware of already the 3D modeling, yeah, it's not a big deal, but let's understand from the management side. So the topic what I have made, the model management and coordination, because I can keep it as a collaborative, Revit collaboration. Maybe I could have made it like this, but collaboration is again part of the model management process, which BIM coordinator does. Okay, so in your CVs also you could have seen in some of the points I've added, like model management and CD management. I have sent all the CVs except Tarun's CV, so I'll be working on his CV this week. So try going through the points which I've added in your experience, in the bullet points. So if you don't get anything, just ask me or maybe Google it. Understand each and every point what exactly it means. Okay. If you don't get anything, just give me a shout. I can just run through. But the things what I've added, that I'll be covering throughout my like practical sessions. Okay. So first we'll understand, how exactly we set up the ACC folder structure, because that's where we start with, the Revit model setup within the CDE. Okay, but before that we will also see like how exactly you should set up if you are not using ACC as a cloud, in your company, because in India or maybe in UK, some companies, the rare companies, might not be using ACC cloud in their company due to its cost associated with that, but a few company might be using, still the local servers to store the models. Okay, you'll understand that. And generally within the design stages, we start producing the Revit models from the REBA stage 2. Okay, stage 2 we mainly focus on producing Revit architecture structures. Okay, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, and all the other disciplines what we have. We don't model the 3D part of it. Okay, we just show like the equipments, like as a blocks. You understand, like without any detail, we just show it as a one box in REBA stage 2, like a mechanical equipment. Like obviously, like mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, they want to propose how many equipments they may, add into the building when their design complete. Okay, it will not be detailed. Okay, if it's like shape, like if this is a shape of the equipment, they won't be modeling it exactly like all the details adding to it. They just add a conceptual block. Okay, we call it as a generic elements. Okay, we just add those elements inside the building just to check the dimensions, whether the equipment size will fix in like whether it will be added into that particular location or not. Okay, and in REBA 3, REBA 4, we slowly start developing, like modeling MEP stuff as well. Okay, but in REBA stage 2, it is like really basic. I'll show you how exactly we do it on our Revit models. Okay, and after REBA stage 4, we do the tendering stage. Like we take the design, we do the quantification, and allow contractors to tender the project. Okay, to construct the design what you produced in REBA 4. And then the REBA 5 stage construction design team take over all the models which we produced in from REBA 4. Okay, design team will no longer have any control over the models when they hand it over to the contractor. Okay, we'll understand also like what are the different types of Revit files we come across. Okay, how exactly we create local and central Revit models, which is like really basic topic, but most of the students, they don't know how exactly the Revit is set up in the from the backend side, because you should be aware whenever things go wrong where exactly you need to look for, because there are a lot of disruptions keeps on happening with Revit software due to like network issues or server issues, storage issues, these kind of things. And we'll understand what are the Revit collaboration terms. Okay, and also we'll understand work sharing and initiating Revit collaboration within ACC. Enabling work sharing means, can anyone tell me what exactly it is? Like what exactly you get it from enabling work sharing?
Could be
Giving
Maybe we
access
can
to work.
to make a central file.
Yes, that's one correct. Others?
maybe we can like update the data but not allow any permission until that.
Yeah, that's also one thing. Sunita, what you were saying?
I mean, same thing, giving access and permission to share the documents.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, only if one person is working on the Revit model, okay, you don't have to enable work sharing. Okay, you can work on your own in your local server. Okay, so we are using a word called enabling work sharing means you want to work with other people by sharing your task. Okay, so if I say if I am inviting you all to my project and I will divide my team, like Mayank and Arjun will work on structural, Karthik and Kushal will work on architecture, and Tarun, Pujit, and Sunita will work on MEP stuff. Okay, so if I have three teams now, what you will do, you will just prepare three models, okay, and invite each one of you to particular folder or particular ACC environment. Okay, and we share the task, because let's say Mayank and Arjun, you both are working on a structural part, so we share the work. Like let's say he works on first and second floor and you work on third and fourth floor. Okay, focusing on structural columns, structural beams, foundations, preparing drawings, technical details. So we have quite a number of tasks depending upon the MIDP and TIDP we prepare. Okay, so we want to share the task. So through Revit we can enable that work sharing within Revit. So we have some prescribed steps which we follow. Okay, when we want the people to work collaboratively, no matter what where they are located. So if the people are in US, people are in India, people are in like any part of the globe, they can work collaboratively on one single model in ACC Cloud. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And we'll also see how exactly we can upload the Revit models, when you set up the ACC project. Okay, ACC means, yeah, again BIM 360. So we have basically like three methods of collaborating in Revit. Okay, one is file based work sharing. Yeah, file based means, let's say you are working for a company where they don't have any cloud based sharing. Okay, you set up a Revit model and you both will have access to the same folder in your company workspace or server, and you both will work on that particular Revit file which is saved in local area network. Okay, local area network, yeah, without any cloud based collaboration. Okay, just only one single Revit file, maybe like depending upon how many disciplines you work with, like if it depending upon the scope of design you do, you set up those many models and work in a local area network. Okay, yeah, again, this file based work sharing can be done without even working on cloud. Okay, through Revit. So when Revit software started, we didn't even add any like ACC or BIM 360 cloud collaboration. We used to have server based collaboration. So I still remember my initial days when I used to work for Atkins back in India. We didn't had ACC or BIM 360. Okay, we had this Revit for C for R, called like collaboration for Revit product. We used to access the models which are saved in UK server back in India. Yeah, and for updating anything, it used to take like a lot of time. Okay, and now through ACC, it has become so easy to update any models irrespective of where you are based. You can access any models. Okay, server based, again, this is again wide area network. This obviously, like, again, it's similar to local area network, but it's like wide area network where you can have like multiple servers based in Ireland, UK, and maybe like other countries or locations in Europe. Okay, you have one network where you can work sharing, can be done via servers as well. Okay, cloud work sharing is the latest technology which we currently working on. Okay, that's again supported by internet connection. Okay, which we need, with, if you don't have any internet connection, obviously you can't access the cloud Also, you can't access any Revit models which are shared in cloud. Okay, and obviously you can see this one small example of local area network. So where you have server racks, okay, and you have a central model stored in that, and you have people working on the central file. Okay, so you will be working, whenever you open Revit model, you will be working in local file. Okay, so Revit, when you open any Revit central file, you will be working in a local file. And when you finish updating stuff, you just transfer those data to the central file by like doing some process, which we call it as a synchronization. So you can see this arrow is a two-way. Okay, you can access the information from the central file, and also you can push the information from the local file to the central file. Okay, so this is the normal collaboration process, when we have like multiple people working on one central file. Okay, so I'm using central Revit model or central Revit file because that is stored in such a location where multiple people can access that. Okay, so we'll see how exactly it works, like when we have this practical session in Revit. Okay, we'll understand what is the setup, how exactly it works. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this ACC folder structure, like how I set up on a live project. So if you're working in a multidisciplinary environment, you understand this, right? Multidisciplinary means, yeah, yeah. If your company is working on like multidisciplinary design scope, okay, let's say architecture, structures, mechanical, any kind of design scope, so you will set up your folder structure in ACC. Okay, ACC is CD folder structure. Okay, so if you can see this at the bottom, I've just added um, like a note here just to tell you guys, ACC project admin and account admin should set up the new project. Okay, so usually whenever in a company, when you are starting a new project, obviously BIM coordinator or BIM manager will have account admin permission or project admin permission. Okay, so usually you need to request for setting up new project in your company. Okay, if you have this account admin permission in your company, then you can go and create that new project in ACC itself. So I think I've requested you guys to um, request for 30 days trial for ACC, right? So that's again, when you request for it, then only you will get a project setup. But when you have an account admin process, you can create a number of projects. Okay, so to create a project, you will have again ACC template. Okay, when you load that template, you will get all these folder structure automatically in your project. Okay, so you should know that, you should tell in the interview that how to set up the ACC projects by using ACC template that is like standard template which contains all the folder structure and roles. Okay, so why I said roles means, obviously, like you have architectural information author, architectural task team manager, task team information manager, structural modeler. You have different types of roles, right? You can load all the roles and give access to, let's say, for architectural people, architectural roles, you can give access to architectural diff folder. For structural people, you can give access to structural folder. Okay, you have permission settings within ACC. Okay, I will also come back to that topic when I discuss more about ACC cloud. Okay, so you can control the access permission, what you see and what you don't see. Okay, and what you can edit, who can not edit. You can control like more of stuff within ACC. Okay, so just for your understanding, you have work in progress models, coordination space, shared internal, shared client, and published. So I don't have to explain you guys what these folders contains. Okay, because shared client means the information what you are sharing with the client. Shared internal means like internal teams, you are sharing the information, you need to share that via this folder. Coordination, like when you want to do a federated model or do a clash detection check. Okay, when you want to export different Revit files into NWC files or IFC files for collaboration or clash detection purpose, you can use this coordination folder. Okay, obviously WIP is work in progress models where you can save all these different files. So you can ask me, what is this file here? Do any one of you understand what is the shared levels and grids model? You understand all these 5, 6 folders. Can anyone tell me what is this? Yeah, that's a model which is not related.
Floor,
Sorry.
like a floor level, and that grids we make.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, as a BIM coordinator or BIM manager, we kind of set up that model which contains levels and grids which are shared with these models. Okay, if there is any changes to the levels or grids, you just change it here, and these models will be automatically updated. Okay, so you need to have more control over that. As a BIM coordinator or a BIM manager, when you set up any models, you should be aware of the levels, the grids. Okay, this generally we call it as a standards model. Okay, I mean, you can call it different way also. You can call it as a shared levels and grids model also. That doesn't matter. And this discipline code is not mandatory. You can use any discipline code which you don't see it here. Okay, I just use V because doesn't replicate any discipline. Okay, and this ACC folder structure, when you have like only like, let's say you are working for a structural consultancy, and you don't have to create all these folder structure because you just have only structures created in your ACC environment. Okay, you understand this? Yeah. So yeah, understanding some of the key terms like collaboration terms, which I want to. Yes, Karthik, you're on mute.
In a previous slide, I have a question
Mm-hmm.
that when they said it's a shared level and grids model, isn't it is the same as an architectural model, because we use level and grids in architectural
Yes,
model
yeah,
as
you
well.
are right.
Why?
You are right. Usually like when you, as I said, when you work in a multidisciplinary environment, you are not giving control to architectural teams. Okay. Uh,
Okay.
this you are controlling it via this model because you don't want to give others to control those, because as a BIM coordinator or BIM manager, you will have like a lot of control over that because people
But
may
why do we not give control for the levels and grid?
yeah, obviously people may change, while working. Yeah, there might be
Okay.
errors. People if they change in one model, then all the discipline or collaboration between other discipline, it messes up, because you should be maintaining the levels and grids, I know, same in all the different models. Okay, you don't have to change it. So people tend to change it because sometimes people want to have take more control over their model. That should not happen when you work in multidisciplinary environment. So
Okay.
obviously here in this scope, you will get the grids and levels from the architectural model. So that question is correct. Why exactly we need to set up this? Okay. When you work for a only structural design company or mechanical MEP consultancy, you want to acquire the grids and levels from the architectural model. So this is different and this is different. So obviously there are different setups you work within like design and construction sector. Okay, so that's obviously like valid question. Even we think that we can control that via architectural model, but for us we have more the benefits which we discuss in coming classes. Yeah, why we maintain this. Okay, so not just
Okay.
the levels and grids, but we maintain quite a lot other stuff within that model as a BIM coordinator. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you.
So here are some key terms which I just want to share. Okay, work shared project means a project where several team members need to collaborate simultaneously. Okay, obviously it's a cloud shared project which we generally use. Okay, and the center model that we generally call it as a master project model for work shared project. Okay, it contains all the contributions from all the team members. Okay, if it's a structural central model, if it's architectural or mechanical central model, we might have like uh, discipline wise central models. Okay, and when you combine all those models, okay, let's say you have federated model. Okay, you link all these models to this federated model just to see what each model is looking like. in order to weave a combined model, you just prepare one federated model and then link all these models into that federated model. Okay, so that also can be a central model. Okay, we'll see how exactly we set up that also on a project, just to see the overall picture of the different disciplines, how they are progressing with the design. Okay, the local model, this basically a copy of the project model. Project model may be the central model, we can say. Okay, resides on your computer system. Like let's say Arjun opens the central model, so practically he's working on the central model, but whatever changes he does, he first changes in his local model, and then the changes will be pushed from his local model to the central model. Okay, so we have some synchronization settings in Revit. I don't know if anyone has seen this. Do you know about synchronization settings? Any one of you? No, Mayank?
I know little bit about it. Like, synchronize means whatever the new updates in the model, so it will reflect to, the other user as well. So if
Yes.
I'm making a wall and if I synchronize that one,
Yeah, you are
until and
correct.
unless I synchronize that, it will not show to the other
Yes.
person
Yeah.
who is using the Revit.
Yes, exactly. You're correct. Yeah, that's one way of like collaborating together. If you don't synchronize the model to central, then you don't see the changes from the other people. Okay, so we'll see that how exactly it works, and most often we come across this work sets within Revit. Okay, so work set topic is like a wide one. We'll see how exactly we manage those work sets within a Revit model or a Revit project. Okay, so those are basically a collection of building elements. Okay, building elements can be structural, doors, windows, foundations, different categories of elements we see, like mechanical equipments, electrical equipments. There are different categories of elements we come across within the model. Okay, we'll see what are those. So worksets play a vital role in dividing the task. Okay, so as I said in the initial slide, Arjun and Mayank, if they are working on different building elements while producing their design, Arjun might be working in structural columns, and Mayank can be working in beams, like structural beams. Okay, so obviously, if you want to group them, obviously you need to use worksets so that we can have more control over the elements what we are working within the workshed project. Okay. So we'll understand today from the demonstration point of view from the Revit model. Okay, we'll understand these different types of model we come across. Okay, what exactly this local Revit model, central workshed Revit model, detached Revit model, and non-workshed Revit model. Okay, so I highlighted these two. There's one reason, because these two are typically seen in cloud. Okay, so this is like workshed Revit model, which we generally work. Like when you guys work on any design project, working on Revit model, you generally work on this workshed model, and non-workshed Revit models are like just drag and drop. I'll see what is the difference between these two models, and what is the difference between these three models. Okay. Has anyone heard about these words before? I think central Revit model is more commonly used by most of you, but I don't know if you guys heard about these four. Detached Revit model? No? Yeah? Okay, that's fine, no problem. Yeah, as I was saying, the works sharing concept, yeah, how exactly it works. Yeah, you have a team member one, two, three, opening the Revit model. Okay, you see there is a local model. So this local model will be saved in your in like a documents folder, where exactly you can specify like where exactly you can save a local model when you open any central model. So you see there is work set and elements associated with each team member. Okay, so you basically collaborate with other team member while working in Revit model is mainly through work sets and elements. Okay, so let's say these elements can be beams, these elements can be here columns. So as I said, Mayank here, just taking an example. Here Arjun is working on this model. Okay. So Mayank is working on only beams. Arjun is working on columns. So when Arjun is making editing to the columns, Mayank can't access those elements or do anything with that. Yeah, because Arjun is having more control over the columns because he is editing all those elements. Mayank can't edit it because until unless Arjun gives permission to the Mayank. Okay, so Arjun need to grant access to edit elements what he is having control over. Okay, so without permissions, like you can't edit other elements which are part of other people's scope who are working on the model. You get it? Yeah. So here, if the third person who is working on the foundations, okay, Mayank can't work on the foundations until it is required. Okay. So these things can be controlled or maybe like discussed among your team members. Okay. So usually like structural lead engineer, okay, he can give you the divide the task what each one of you can do, or maybe you three have to discuss and divide the task what each person will be working on the model. Okay, it's not like depending upon the deliverables you need to produce from your TIDP. Okay, yes, Karthik.
So I have a question that, as you said, is Arjun have a control over columns and stuff, so Mayank cannot control over it, like do any stuff related to column. So like what will Mayank do in the meantime if he wants something with something to do with the column? Like if Arjun cannot give access to Mayank, what Mayank will do in the meantime? Like
No, I mean, let's say he's updating the beams, column. He might have he might have to do some changes in the columns locations where he is working. Okay, so Mayank need to request access. I mean, like for editing that element. Okay, so in
okay,
Revit it works like Arjun need to grant access. Granting access means like synchronizing the stuff. Okay, let's say he has control over two elements. So Mayank can't edit those two elements until Arjun synchronizes the stuff to central model,
right,
like
okay,
releasing the permission, releasing the
permission.
control. Obviously,
Okay,
like in Revit, two people can't work on one single element at a time. Either one
right,
person need to release the permission or control of that particular element. Okay,
okay,
so that is why we use this work sets or elements work sharing method to have more control over our elements, like based on the scope what exactly each person has to do on the project, they can work on only on those elements. Okay, so
okay,
this can be again divided within like a building parts. Okay, so let's say you have some different areas within the Revit project. Okay, so let's say you divide among yourself. So this area can be focused by Karthik, this area can be focused by Arjun, or this area can be focused by Kushal. Okay, so this way also can be like we can divide the areas where we can focus on modeling the stuff. So
okay,
this is also another way of work sharing.
right.
Okay, there
I
might
have sorry,
yeah, go on, go
sorry.
on.
So I have a question. Can they talk while doing this stuff like work
Yeah, I
sharing?
mean, we get the pop-ups, if anybody, let's say, you are accessing margin elements, it will give you a pop-up in Revit that you can't edit the elements because Arjun is working on those elements currently. Like you can see the names
Okay,
of people who are working on those elements in the central Revit model.
okay,
Yeah,
right,
obviously, like
okay,
while you are on Teams or any emails, like usually we communicate via Teams, where
Mhm.
if I want you to release the permission of some elements, I will ask you to synchronize the model. Okay, Arjun, please synchronize the model, I want to edit this part. Or maybe Mayank, please synchronize the model, I want to edit the part. So you use more of one synchronization word, when you work within a team.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it. Yeah,
yes,
thank you.
Mayank.
I just want to ask you, like, what kind of editing we can do? Like just an orientation thing, or like we can change material, or like we can change the column properties as well?
When you want to change?
Like, no, I'm just asking you, like, we can change only the orientation. If I'm like working on the column, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for example, Arjun is working on the beam,
Mm-hmm.
but the orientation of the beam is not suitable for that column. So
Mm-hmm.
if Arjun gives me permission to edit those elements, can I just change the orientation only?
Yeah,
The
you
question
can
is
change
that.
it. Yeah. I
That
mean,
like
whatever.
just no orientation, or like
You can delete the element and add new element also. That doesn't matter
okay,
until
okay,
Arjun releases the permission to edit that element. Okay. As I said, two people can't
okay,
access one single element at that at- or do the editing to the one single element. Okay. Only
okay,
one people can work on any one element particularly.
right,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Thank you.
So I'll come back to this setup. Okay. First, we'll understand the different Revit models. Okay. How we come across. So whenever you open any Revit, obviously you will see like different tabs here. The recent files can be accessed via here. And when you are given access to Autodesk Docs, okay, when you have activated your Autodesk trial, you will see this Autodesk Docs also. Okay. If not, you need to install this add-in also. Okay. If you don't see this add-in, you need to install that in Revit. Okay. So some of you might be struggling when you activated ACC, your trial version, you don't see this Autodesk Docs. But if you are missing it, just give me a shout. I'll send you the link how you can install that. Okay. Yeah, obviously you have models and families. When you want to create any different types of families, you use this families tab. And when you want to create new projects or open any new central models or Revit projects, you use this open Revit models. Okay. So this open and new, they will take you to only local servers. This Autodesk Docs will only take you to work shared models or central Revit models which are hosted in the cloud. Okay. So let's say I will create a new project. Okay. So whenever you go into any design consultancy working as a BIM technician, BIM coordinator, you need to make sure you need to check with the BIM manager or the BIM coordinator or who we work with, whether you have any existing templates which you will use for this projects, because each company have its own Revit templates, because they will have all the stuff being loaded from the backend, without having to load the families, templates, title blocks. There are different things which come across with the obviously, like each drawing what you produce is not same from other disciplines, right? Like other companies, each company has its own way of working things. Okay. Like drawing standards, modeling standards, naming standards, structuring your sheets, different stuff. Like take an example of title block also, Revit title block. This can be different from different companies. Those are like different ways of working in different companies. So I'll show you what does exactly the template means. 24. So if I open one project, from car parks, you see this title block here. Yeah, this is different. You see this section symbol is different. Yeah. And the room naming, you can see, observe here, they are like just plant and 49 meter square. Okay. So there are different annotations which come across with the one single Revit drawing. Okay. And also you see here you have same company's title block with different setup. Okay. So if I open other project, you can see the title block is different here. Can you see this? Yeah. I mean, there are these, we call it as a general company standards. Okay. Each company has its own standards. When you link or when you open Revit model, these all standards will automatically loaded into those Revit models, discipline specific. Okay. So obviously, like let's say I'll take an example of creating an architectural model. I need to use architectural. Okay. A structural, mechanical, based on the design scope which you work. Okay. You can use the same template. Okay. um, for architectural, structural, mechanical, usually like for architectural you should not use structural. Okay, you should not make that mistake. So based on the design scope which you work, you can use those template only when you work on. Okay, so you can also, as a BIM project coordinator or a BIM manager, sometimes you also need to alter the template files if requested. Okay, so at that time obviously you can select this and open the template file. Okay, for now let's only focus on the project because you don't have to edit the project templates for now, or if there is a requirement then only you should do it. Okay, so you have opened the model. This is your basic interface. Okay, so whatever the discipline specific things we do, okay, we have it in different, obviously the names suggest, the architectural design will use architectural tab. Structural tab will indicate structural stuff. Okay, steel, again steel is being this again for mainly like construction stage detailing, we use this steel part. Okay, the steel tab. Structural, these are like mainly design stuff. Okay, steel connection details, all the stuff which is done in construction stage, they use a steel connection, like in detailed design stage or rebar 5 stage. Okay, precast, again Revit is working hard, in creating precast construction elements as well. Okay, these days precast has been so normal, um, for especially like structural part you need all the precast elements. Okay, for that you have a different tab now which is being added. I didn't see this precast tab in like 23 or 24, so this is 24, but 23, 22 I didn't see this. Okay, they are still working on it for developing it. Systems, like whatever MEP stuff, building services which we call. Okay, you get everything here. Like you have HVAC which is related to mechanical. Fabrication, again manufacturing or rebar 5 detail. Okay, detailing which you do. MEP detailing you have. Okay, and plumbing and piping you have this section. Okay, you have electrical, and yeah, you have components here, the similar ones. So until unless you practice the Revit structural, I want you guys to go and don't have to do any like exact modeling, just try what each option gives you. Okay, you don't have to pro in like modeling stuff, but you should know what each element or each uh, tool does within MEP systems. Okay, so I know most of you have tried Revit architecture and structures, but systems is least explored one. Okay, try this as well. Insert, like if you want to link other discipline models or link AutoCAD files, link any other discipline models, you will use this insert tab. Okay, so don't think anything. If you want to link AutoCAD file, if you want to link IFC, if you want to link other Revit models, just go to insert. Okay, and through insert you can add any other discipline specific Revit models, IFC models, or CAD models. Okay, for loading families, you have this load family, Autodesk family here. Okay, and whatever BIM coordinator or BIM manager manages within a Revit project, that is all in manage tab. So most of you, I think, again, this manage tab is least explored one. Okay, as a BIM coordinator or a Revit technician or BIM manager, which you want to manage the things. Okay, from the management side. So I, as a BIM manager now, I use a lot of stuff within manage tab. Okay, if you are giving any interviews within for a BIM technician role also, you should mention all these different tools, which you can manage in a Revit project. Okay, so first one, let's understand the different models. Okay, I'll just go to Revit architecture and just add some like random grids. Okay, I added some also some random walls just to showcase, don't have to be accurate, but okay, I have this 3D now. Okay, So I've made the changes to the local model. So if I want to save this, okay, so I can use this option now. Okay, see if I just click on save, it will take me to the normal folder. Okay, so I can just go to my computer or downloads. I'll just save it here. So whenever you try to save any Revit models, make sure you check these options here. Okay. So file saving options here, maximum 3. This 3 number indicates the maximum number of backups you can create from one Revit file or Revit project. Okay. So you can give backups, maximum number of backups you want, but in order to save the storage from your PC, you always should give one as the maximum number of backup Revit file which you can create. So if your Revit model which is open now is corrupted, or maybe it's not opening the model, you can always go back to the backup version. Get me? Yeah. And you can see here work sharing tab or work sharing thing here. Make the central model after save is like I can't do anything, it's not editable. Okay. Or compact file, or this tab is like work sharing tab is completely off because that's a local file. Okay. So this indicates you are working on a local file without having enabled the work sharing in your Revit project. Okay. So I can save this. So the naming, what I was telling, Pujit, if you remember, here I want you to name the the Revit model which you create according to the naming convention. Pujit, you there?
Yes, bro. Yes, bro.
You see, this is like some random project code you should use, according because you will get practice with that. Okay. BIM wise. So this is my architectural model. So I'll name it according to the naming convention I specified in ITIDP. Okay. So here I selected one. I'll just click on save. So I'm just saving it in the local file in my downloads folder. Okay. So you have save as option also. So obviously you should be knowing, any tool is actually always coming with save as well. Okay. So let's go back to the downloads folder. So can you see this Revit project now? It's saved now 26/5/2025. Okay. So this is your local model. So I'll just close this. I've saved it. Okay. So always remember, you should not go and open this Revit model double clicking on that. When you work in like any company or any uh, like project, when you download any Revit file, don't just go and double click on that. Okay. So that's a bad way, or that's a bad practice of opening the Revit models. Okay. So always when you model stuff in Revit also, don't always try to double click every time. So make sure you click only one single time. So here if I want to open this model, I'll just go to open. I will open the Revit. I'll go to open tab. Okay, and navigate to the particular folder and then select here. By selecting this model, I can open the Revit model. So you should not open, you can open by double clicking on that also. It will also open the same model, but never ever do that on any project. Okay, so this is a norm or a standard practice. So by going to downloads folder, can you see the Revit version here? Can you predict any Revit version? Arjun, can you tell me by seeing this Revit file, which version of Revit file it is?
It's an MP3, I think. Yeah.
No. Revit version I'm talking about. You have different version of Revit, right?
Yeah.
Which
No.
version can you tell me through that? No, right?
Mm.
So you have only 25 and you get 24 model. What you will do now? You can't open the model, right?
Mhm.
So that is why you should not open the Revit model by double clicking it here.
Okay.
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 So you have, when you click on the open Revit model here, you can see the Revit version here. If I have
Right.
Revit 25, I can open the 24 by upgrading the model. Okay. So never ever do or double click on the Revit model. Okay. I think I've shared the Revit files within the Revit materials. Those are like 2016. I think
Yes.
most of you, what you have done, you just download it and then double click on it, isn't it?
Yes.
That's how you're doing it, right? No, you should not do it.
Yes.
Okay. So don't, this is one a tip I can say, I can just give you. Even if you work on any live projects, even if you download it, don't ever try to open the model by double clicking on it. So this is the first tip which you should use, and you should practice on working on Revit files. So when I open the local model, you see detached from central is non-editable. It's grayed out, and create new local also grayed out. Okay, so we'll see what these two options are. Again, these comes under work sharing tab. You see, when you activate work sharing on a Revit model, then only you can see these two activated. Okay, so if I click on open, there is a small arrow here. Okay, so I'm clicking on it, I don't see anything. Okay, because there are some ways of working opening the Revit models also. So this will get activated again when you activate work sharing on a particular Revit file. Okay, so I'll open it now. So we are discussing mainly like Revit collaboration topic. Okay, so you just need to go to collaborate tab in Revit. Okay, which is here. You see collaborate and worksets, two options here. Okay, I'll just click on collaborate. If you see on that collaborate tab, enables collaboration, so team members can work on a model simultaneously. Okay, so you can collaborate now. So within your network means obviously if you are working in local network or your server network, you can use that. In the cloud means again it is going to ACC. Okay, so I'll just click on within my network. So as you can see now, I've activated it. Okay, and you can see this synchronize and modify settings, it's still grayed out. Okay, and also you can see in the synchronize with central tab is not activated. Okay, even though I've just collaborated, like enabled the work sharing. Okay, and work sets, you see they are also activated now. There are two by default work sets which are created. So these two worksets are created whenever you create any new model, Revit model. These two are by default, which Revit will create it for you. Okay. So shared levels and grids and workset one are by default grids. Okay. And you can see owner here. I have opened the model. I am owning them. Okay. Borrowers, again, if Arjun wants to edit these two worksets, he should request me. Then only I can give access. Okay. So I'll click on OK first. So it's still not at central model. It's still a local model. So I'll go on save as. So here if I go on save, okay, you see this is the first time that the project has been saved since work sharing was enabled. This project will therefore become the central model. Okay. So again, I don't prefer to save a central file by clicking on this save option because I want to see some extra options. Okay, I'll tell you what are those options are. Click on save. So here I'm just saving this as a project. So here I'll just go to options. Okay, so when I create a central file, I'm saving that file as a central file. I can control the maximum number of backups also when you convert a local model to the central model. Okay, and you can see now this option got a tick mark saying that it's converting to the central model after save. Okay, so this is the general norm, like how you create a central file by enabling the work sharing in your local Revit model. Okay, so I'm creating it now. Okay, I'm just clicking on, so I can maybe differentiate the file by central Revit file. Okay, so I'll just click on save. So when you create us from local model to the central model, you see now this is activated. The green symbol with circle mark is activated and synchronized with central also activated. Yeah. So you got to know how you activated the central Revit file for synchronizing options. Okay, you see in the synchronize option here, synchronize with central is here. Okay, so let's say I'll go back to uh, level 0. Okay, and then add a few more bits from the architectural side. So I'll add some extra walls here. Okay, and also add some windows. Okay, so here if I just close the model, you see you can get a message here. Okay, so I've made the changes, but I didn't push the changes to any central file or local file. Okay, so it's asking me to save the changes to central Revit model. Okay, so whenever you work on any project in a central file, don't ever try to use this option. Okay, so always make sure you use this synchronize option. You need to practice this again. You need to synchronize and then close the model every time. Okay, so I'm just synchronizing with central now. Okay, so you can see now, so this central Revit file which is saved here 24/6. Okay, so you just check the timing how exactly it changes. So this is this process which we call it as a synchronization to the central file. Okay, so when you synchronize the model, always make sure you go to collaborate and relinquish all mine. So you need to click on this relinquish all mine when you work on a central Revit file. So you see releases ownership of the work sets and borrowed elements that have not been changed. You understand here, even if you didn't touch the other people elements, or like you when you open the model you will have control over the full model. Okay, so that is why whenever you do the synchronization process you need to click on relinquish all mine and then close the model. Okay, so if you don't click on this relinquish all mine, you will be still holding the ownership of few elements within the Revit project. You get me? Ownership means holding the ownership of Revit elements means other people can't change the elements within the Revit file until you release the ownership. So when you synchronize, just click on relinquish all mine. The two steps you should remember whenever you want to push the local changes, the changes which you made to the central file. Okay, let's go back here. You can see the central Revit file was saved in 2046. Now it has changed to 2048. That means you have pushed the changes from your local model to the central file. Okay, so without knowing, Revit will create a local file when you work in central file. I don't know if you remember this, but Revit will create a local file which you will open every time when you open the Revit file. Think here you don't see it, but let's close it down and see how exactly it will appear. I think it's still not saved. Okay, so I've saved the file now. Okay, I'll go and navigate to the same central file which I've created. So if I see now central Revit file, you can see here the Worksharing tab is activated, yeah, which was not activated before. And you can also see this by default Revit is giving me to create new local file. Okay, so you should be using this create new local file every time, because you can have two version of files which you can have as a backup version. One model which is central file and one model which you create. Okay, that local file I will show you where exactly it is connected. So and also you can see this arrow mark here. Other things are also activated now within the workset tab. You see workset and all the other things are activated, which was not there before. I will tell you what exactly those options are also. Okay, so I opened the file now. You can see now, you can also see so I'm in the downloads file. Okay, this is a central file. Then documents folder, you can see this local file which I told you, create new local. Okay, So this is a file which is in the backend. Okay, so this file and this file are both interconnected now. So you are changing the items here and then pushing the changes from this file to downloads file. Okay, so these two are interconnected now, and you can't break the chain until unless you opt for it. Okay, so now you can see. So I will change the height of these walls. Go to level 0. So, and another thing, whenever you want to model anything, like on a basic project, make sure you got two tabs open. One is plan view and 3D view. Okay, and go to view, go to tile views. Okay, tile views will get you two tabs side by side, seeing what you are doing in 2D plan and what is seeing in 3D. Okay, because always you should be aware of what you are modeling in 2D that is replicated in 3D, right? Because that's like more controllable and best practice, what you do when you model anything. Just remember this principle or concept which you can understand. Whatever you change in the 2D plan, okay, make sure you got the 3D view also open so that you see the changes, at least for your reference. You can see where exactly you're adding the elements in the 3D model. You get me, right? Okay, so I've made the changes now. So you can see the local file which is last updated on 2050. So I'll click on synchronize. Okay, so you can see this option here, save local file before and after synchronizing with central. Okay, so automatically you are synchronizing the central file by saving your local file also. If central file is corrupted, you can still access your local file as a central Revit model. You get me? So now I'm pushing the changes to local file and also the central file. Collaborate, I'll just click on relinquish all mine. Okay, so now you can see now the documents local file which is up to updated 2054 and central file 2054. Those two files are simultaneously synchronized and they are connected to each other. Yes, Mayank.
Can I ask you, like, in local area network, if I make a central file
Mm-hmm.
and, like, just for an example, like Kusal and me are on the same
File.
network, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same file. So how can I share that file, like via email, or how can I do that?
I'll tell you.
You know what I mean?
I'll
Yeah,
tell you. I'll
okay.
tell you. Yeah, that's a good
Okay,
question.
okay.
You should be knowing like how exactly you share the Revit files with other parties. Okay. So
Okay.
you got to know now how exactly the local and central file are connected in a Revit environment, right? Okay, this is clear now. So detach, like when you want to share the file with other parties, let's say I'm working in architecture now. Let's say structural people will ask you for a Revit architectural model, please share it. So how should you do it? Go to the Revit file which is saved in your local server, select it, and you need to select this detach from central file. Okay, so detach from central means you are creating a separate copy where the Revit is breaking the chain between the local and the central file. Like you no longer two files are connected. Okay, you're creating a new extra file which is called detached Revit model. So you see detach from central means always you prefer detach and preserve worksets. So let's say you have worksets already created in the Revit model. So you always should preserve those worksets because it's comfortable in controlling the grouping of elements. Okay. So you see now central file detached version. Okay. So this is your detached version where you don't have connection to the local file or the central file. You see collaborate, I am the collaborate type. I don't have the synchronize option. Okay, so when you open the detached model, you are sharing that file with other parties. Okay, so how you should do it? go to file, save as project. Okay, so I'll just share this as architecture with today's date. Okay, and then use this one option. So you need to create that particular folder. Okay, let's say you are sharing the file here, 25/5/26 architectural model shared. Maybe yeah, architectural model. You can just save this and then save the file in that particular folder. Okay, and that file you should be uploading it to ACC or maybe you know, or maybe like any platform where you can share the file. Okay, don't ever attach the Revit file in again email also. Okay, so that's a bad practice. Don't ever attach Revit models in emails. Okay, so either you should be using ACC or maybe other communication tools where you want to share the files. Okay, always have get access to other different platforms and then upload the files. Okay, so this is one way of working in your Revit local environment. Okay, having your Revit file central model created and giving all the access to the particular person. So here you obviously, when you join a company where they are using local network, you will get automatic access to all the servers. You know, they will add you automatically. Okay, so I'll just close this. So I'll show you now quickly like how exactly you can publish your Revit models to ACC folder structure. Okay, so I have this central file created, or maybe like I can use the same local file also. So I have my ACC account, ACC project activated. I'm in the cloud test project. So you need to go to collaborate here. So I'll now select the cloud option here because I'm saving the model in the cloud ACC. So I'm selecting my trial project. So I have got all the folder structure created. So I'm saving this architectural model, right? So I'm just saving it in here. Okay. So I'm just clicking on save. You see now you are pushing the file to that particular ACC cloud based storage. Okay, in that folder. So this process we call it as a Revit collaboration or initiating the Revit collaboration to ACC cloud. Okay, or maybe you are enabling the work sharing in the cloud. Okay, and the model which you are seeing in the ACC cloud is called as a work shared Revit project or work shared Revit model. Okay, you see work sharing is started and default worksets are created. The model is saved to the cloud. And in order to give access to the people, you should invite people to the particular folder. Okay, you see you save a model to the cloud and now you should be giving the access. Okay, again that is part of your ACC. Like if you are project admin on that ACC project, you can give access to that particular project. Okay, so I'll just go to here, Autodesk Docs. So can you see here? I opened the Revit, I opened the ACC project. So if I click on online, okay, I'll just directly navigate to that particular project. Okay, you see here in the Revit WFP model architecture. So I have this model now, AMZ01 architectural file. And you can see the May 26 as the today's date and also the time when I published the model. Okay. So this is your work shared Revit model. So if you drop any file from your local file, okay, so let's say you rename this file, okay, as A02. Let's say you are creating another project for Revit architecture project. If you drag and drop, so you're just directly adding that Revit model to the ACC. So this model we call it as a non-workshed project or non-workshed Revit model. Okay, and this is your workshed Revit model. So why I tell that non-workshed Revit model means I can't access that model via Revit tab. Okay, you can see the number 2 model. I can't see it from Revit. Can you see that here? No, right? That's because that's a non-workshed Revit project or Revit model. Okay, only the Revit models which are enabled work sharing, those can only see in this, can only be visible in this Revit environment. Okay, so a non-workshed Revit model should be opened via Autodesk desktop connector. I'll come back to that topic in coming sessions. Okay, so you get this right? Difference between workshed project and non-workshed project. Okay, so far
Yes.
any questions? I know many of you have not come across these different types of different Revit models, even though you know about 3D modeling. Isn't it, Mayank? Like some tips were useful from today's session?
Yeah, like I got lots of things to know. But I still have some problem with the ACC, like how to activate the trial one.
Really?
Like, yeah, like can you just show me like how you go to the Autodesk
Uh,
website and get the trial version?
okay, let me stop.